What if the special forces faced assassins in 12th century Jerusalem? Night has fallen over 12th century Jerusalem. Narrow stone streets, staircases and rooftops are shrouded in darkness. A squad of special forces soldiers moves silently through the gloom. Kevlar vests, helmets with night vision, assault rifles in hand, communicating via radio. Their goal is to neutralize a group of assassins who have infiltrated the city undetected. The assassins move like shadows, hoods, light dark clothing, daggers glinting in the dim torchlight. They use rooftops, arches, and narrow alleys, trying to remain unnoticed. The first contact occurs as the Special Forces soldiers approach the central square. An assassin on a rooftop attempts to throw a knife, but one of the Special Forces soldiers reacts instantly and disables the enemy with a shot. Smoke grenades explode in the narrow streets, and the fighting rages on. Assassins leap from rooftops, disappear behind arches, and reappear in unexpected places, attempting to encircle the Special Forces. The SOF employ their tactical techniques, covering fire, short bursts, and group maneuvers, quickly moving across rooftops and stairways to block enemy escape routes. The first firefight erupts on the roof of the central building. One assassin fires a hidden crossbow, while another throws daggers, attempting to penetrate the Special Forces defenses. Two SOF soldiers climb the adjacent buildings and create a crossfire, forcing the enemy to retreat. Close combat ensues on a narrow staircase. An assassin attacks a Special Forces soldier from above, but is struck with a rifle butt and neutralized. Everything unfolds rapidly. Falling rocks, sparks from gunfire, smoke, and the reflection of torches. The Special Operations Forces, SOF, soldiers coordinate their actions, exploiting the heights and narrow passages. One squad corners the assassins in an alley, another blocks a rooftop, and the third climbs up a rope to a high balcony. The assassins are losing the initiative, but their skill and speed make every move dangerous. Shooting, grenade throws, rooftop jumps, and hand-to-hand combat all intertwine in a chaotic but coordinated operation where every moment can decide the outcome of the battle. Smoke from the first grenades rises over the narrow streets of Jerusalem, and torchlight casts long shadows on the stone walls. The assassins, previously almost invisible, begin to make more use of rooftops and arches for maneuver. One of them leaps from a rooftop onto a neighboring building to outflank the Special Operations Forces positions, but two soft soldiers react instantly, opening crossfire. In the blink of an eye, the enemy is pinned to the parapet, his dagger no longer a threat. Hand-to-hand combat ensues on the narrow staircase. An assassin attacks a Special Forces soldier from above, but is struck with a rifle butt, pushed back, and falls. Another assassin throws a knife from the roof, but a shot from the Special Forces soldier interrupts his attempt. Both sides move rapidly. The Special Forces soldiers cover the street with short bursts of fire, smoke grenades conceal their movements, and the assassins use every shadow to leap onto a roof or around a corner. In the center of the square, two Special Forces soldiers climb ropes to a high balcony to intercept their hiding opponents. The assassins attempt to distract their attention by firing arrows and daggers in different directions, but the Special Forces quickly shift positions, blocking their escape routes. One assassin slides down the wall to break through a narrow alley, but is met at the exit by another Special Forces squad. A brief battle ends with the enemy being neutralized. Shots and the clang of metal echo from the rooftops. Daggers bounce off body armor, and grenades send stone fragments flying. The assassins are losing the initiative, but their speed and agility make every moment deadly. One soft soldier leaps from rooftop to rooftop, approaching the enemy from the flank, while two of his comrades cover the stairs below, trapping the enemy. In the narrow streets, the battle becomes chaotic. Smoke, sparks from arrows and gunfire, falling stones, and the loud thuds of rifle butts and daggers. The assassins try to exploit rooftops and alcoves, but the SOF gradually gain control of the space, moving with precision and speed that leaves the enemy no chance to organize resistance. Chaos thickens over Jerusalem. Smoke from grenades and dust from destroyed roofs obscure the fire of torches. The assassins, who had previously moved confidently across rooftops and narrow streets, are beginning to feel the pressure. One of them jumps from a rooftop to a staircase to outflank the SOF positions. But two Special Forces soldiers react instantly and block the path, forcing the enemy to retreat. A major clash erupts in the central square. Several assassins attempt to break through a narrow passage between buildings. The special forces use short bursts of fire and smoke grenades to trap the enemy. One of the soldiers climbs a rope to the roof of a nearby building, throws a grenade at the enemy, and instantly jumps back down, neutralizing the enemy without inflicting casualties. Another group of soft soldiers blocks the staircase and alley, preventing the enemy from escaping. The hand-to-hand combat intensifies. An assassin with a dagger attacks a soft soldier from above, but is struck with a rifle butt and falls to the ground before he can land a single blow. Elsewhere, a young assassin tries to break through a narrow corridor, but encounters another special forces unit. A brief but fierce fight ensues. Knife strikes bounce off body armor, and the special forces soldiers use grappling techniques and throws. Firefights continue from the rooftops. One assassin fires a crossbow, another throws daggers, trying to break through the defenses. The special forces, using the heights and crossfire, gradually push back the enemies. The assassins lose the initiative, but their agility still makes every step deadly. One special forces soldier leaps from rooftop to rooftop, quickly securing a flank, while his comrades block the stairs and narrow passages below. Falling rocks, sparks from gunfire, smoke screens, and the loud bangs of rifle butts create chaos, which becomes a true test for both sides. The assassins try to exploit every alcove and ceiling, but the special forces gradually gain control of key points. Rooftops, balconies, and stairways become zones of special forces dominance. By the end of the block, the first casualties among the assassins are significant, and the special forces continue to methodically push the remaining enemies from the rooftops and streets. The city's central tower has become the assassins' last stronghold. The remaining fighters, tired and frightened, are trying to hold their positions on the rooftops and narrow stairways. The Special Operations Forces, SOF, are preparing for the final assault. One squad climbs up the adjacent buildings and stairways, another secures itself on the rooftop with a rope, and a third prepares smoke grenades and short bursts of fire to block the enemy's escape routes. The first contact occurs on the rooftop. An assassin leaps down on a Special Operations soldier, attempting to stab him with a dagger, but he reacts instantly, disarms the enemy, and throws him over the edge of the roof. Another assassin fires a crossbow into the narrow passage, but the shot is interrupted by a short burst of rifle fire, sending the enemy falling backward. Smoke and dust obscure their view, but the SOF soldiers use the heights, crossfire, and constant movement to gradually push the enemy out of key positions. A close quarters battle ensues on the stairs. Two assassins attempt to break through, but one of the Special Forces soldiers deftly subdues and incapacitates the first, while the second is struck with a rifle butt and falls. Simultaneously, another assassin attempts to stealthily crawl to the balcony, but is met by a third Special Forces squad. A brief battle ends, with the enemy being neutralized. Firefights continue from the rooftops. Arrows and daggers fly with unexpected speed, but the Special Forces respond instantly, moving from rooftop to rooftop, blocking escape routes. One of the soldiers jumps onto the rooftop where two opponents are hiding and neutralizes them in close combat, while his comrades continue to suppress the remaining shooters. The lower streets are completely under Special Forces control. Smoke screens obscure movement, and the remaining assassins desperately try to break through. But crossfire, rapid reaction times, and the team's poor coordination render their attempts futile. By the end of the block, all rooftops and key staircases in the city center are under SOF control. The last enemy is neutralized, and the tower is cleared. Seconds of intense combat give way to silence, with only light smoke and the dim light of torches serving as reminders of the massive confrontation. After the storming of the central tower, the city gradually returns to relative quiet. Smoke still billows over the narrow streets. Dust from the destroyed roofs settles on the stone steps, but the active fighting is almost over. The remaining assassins, realizing resistance is futile, attempt to hide in alleys and alcoves, but the SOF, spread out across key locations, block all possible routes. On the roof of a neighboring building, the final skirmish occurs. One assassin attempts a surprise attack on an SOF soldier, but is struck with a rifle butt and falls to the balcony below. Another attempts to fire a hidden crossbow, but is quickly discovered by a Special Forces unit and neutralized in close combat. The enemy's every move is now predictable, their maneuvers limited by the specialist's control. The lower streets are gradually clearing. The Special Forces soldiers advance carefully, checking every corner and alcove. The last few enemies attempt to break through the narrow passage to the city gates, but crossfire forces them to a halt. One soldier leaps from the stairs to the roof, intercepting the enemy, while another blocks the path to the street, and the enemy is completely surrounded. Hand-to-hand combat becomes brief and decisive. The assassins lose their coordination, and every leap or dagger throw is intercepted by the special forces. Only the last figures who haven't yet fled the battlefield remain on the rooftops and stairs. The special forces are gradually tightening their grip on the city. The rooftops, stairs, and narrow passages are completely under control. The smoke screens dissipate, and the calm silhouettes of soldiers on the rooftops are visible. But even after the main groups are neutralized, the remaining lone assassins don't give up. In one of the narrow alleys, two opponents attempt to stealthily make their way to a rooftop to escape, but one of the special forces soldiers spots movement and reacts swiftly. A brief skirmish, then throws the enemy over the edge, and finally secures control of the street. On a neighboring rooftop, another assassin uses cover, but several special forces soldiers block him from all sides, forcing him to surrender or be neutralized. The noise of battle gradually fades. The stone streets are empty. Only occasional torches illuminate the way for the special forces. The last smokescreens rise above the rooftops, slowly dissipating, and the special forces soldiers check key points: towers, streets, stairways. The city is now completely under control. A panoramic view from above reveals Jerusalem. Rooftops, streets, and squares are empty. The enemy shadows have disappeared, and the special forces soldiers stand in position, assessing the scale of the operation. On the horizon, dawn paints the stone walls with a soft glow. The peace and quiet of the city seem to contrast with the chaos of the night battle. The special forces slowly disperse to their positions, inspecting every corner and checking for security. Victory has been achieved, but tension and fatigue are visible on the fighters' faces. This city is once again under control, and every step along the streets reminds us of the cost of battle, the agility and tenacity of both the enemy and those who prevailed.